People want to go faster.
People are choosing to use them in an illegal manner.
They're lots of fun.
If you don't have to pedal, it's a motorbike.
Until they're not.
I just knew he wasn't coming back.
So what can be done?
We're allowed to import these bikes. That's where the confusion comes for parents.
To stop the e-bike carnage.
Without any intervention, we will have a crisis on our hands.
It's difficult to argue with advocates of electric bikes. They're spot on when they say they're convenient, cheap to run, and good for the environment. There's a very big but, though. Many of the e-bikes zooming by on our roads and footpaths don't meet Australian safety standards. Many are also able to be easily modified, meaning they can travel at excessive speeds. Some are more like motorbikes than bikes. And that's a big worry in the hands of often young and inexperienced riders. The consequences can be catastrophic. It's hard to imagine on a bright Gold Coast morning, but this nondescript intersection near Burleigh Heads holds the darkest of memories for Jason Gagg.
It's very hard. It's difficult. It's not a site that you want to be visiting. We'll drive at times 5-6 kilometres out of the way just to avoid coming through here.
It was here that Jason's 17-year-old son Hudson was thrown from the back of an e-bike and killed in September this year.
It's the first thing you think about when you wake up. It's the last thing you think about when you go to sleep, if you can sleep. You get flashbacks.
Yeah, you don't expect to rock up and see that your son's dead on the side of the road.
Hudson's mum, Gillian, can't bring herself to return here. But Jason is putting on a brave face, hoping that sharing their story might spare other parents this unthinkable grief.
If we can get anything out there, we just want to make sure that these bikes are legal and there's proper training for these kids that are riding them.
Hudson is one of an alarming number of Australians being killed or seriously injured in e-bike crashes. Tonight, the electric bikes taking over our roads. They're unregulated and many of them are illegal, creating a new crisis for police and hospitals as the federal government plays catch-up.
He'd walk into a room and his big brown eyes and his big smile, and he was always very bright, and he'd just brighten up a room.
Larger than life. Like he'd give, other parents' mums a cuddle and, hello, Mrs. So-and-so, I'm here. And
on September 22nd, Hudson Gagg was on the back of a brand new 2-seat electric bike, owned and ridden by his best friend. There'd been some trouble with the brakes and they'd just been serviced.
They were coming down a hill and the rider of the bike, his best mate, said, look, it's not stopping. He was squeezing the brakes and he just said, it's not stopping.
He said, Hudson, I can't stop the bike. I can't stop the bike.
The teens ran the stop sign and slammed into a car. It is terrible luck.
It just wasn't working. Yeah, terrible luck. But we don't know the specifications of what those brakes can actually hold, the inclination and so forth. Are the standards up to speed?
Gillian and Jason were called to the scene by the bike rider's parents, not realising paramedics were working to revive their own son.
We're on our way there ringing Hudson. We tried to ring Hudson 3 times going, where are you? And my, typical 17-year-old is not answering his phone. And then to get there and the rider's over here and then there was a blue tarp of the services, first responders working on Hudson there, and it was like, what? There was one female firefighter that was holding the tarp that we were calling out, come on Hudson, you can do it, you can do it. And I know twice we made eye contact and I just knew he wasn't coming back. I just knew he was gone.
E-bikes entered the Australian market in 2012 under strict road safety standards. But in 2021, the federal government decided electric bikes would no longer be classed as road vehicles, softening the importation rules and making it easier to buy one that doesn't meet Australian safety standards. Compliant e-bikes have a speed limit of 25 kilometres per hour, and the motor must be assisted by pedalling. But because of our watered-down importation laws, poor quality bikes have flooded the market, and they can easily be modified to go much faster. It's as simple as entering a code into the bike's display screen or attaching a small device. It's confusing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Unless you're an expert, it's really hard to distinguish what's legal, what's modified.
Bicycle New South Wales CEO Peter McLean knows these bikes better than almost anyone. But even he admits there's confusion around what is compliant and what isn't allowed to be ridden on Australian roads. Now, these are the ones you're seeing more and more around the city. I mean, that almost looks like a motorbike to me, but it's an e-bike?
Yeah, they're getting more and more common. It can be an e-bike. It's technically an illegal device. It can't be a motorbike because it doesn't meet the standards.
How easy is it for anyone to buy one of these that could be modified and go faster than the speed limit?
Well, for as little as a few $1,000s, you can walk into hundreds of different retailers right across the country with a wink, wink and a nod, nod. Have the code and you've got yourself an illegal device.
It's that easy?
It's that easy, absolutely.
To show us just how fast some of the more popular e-bikes can go, 18-year-old Australian superbike rider Cameron Dunker is putting rubber to the road at Sydney Motorsport Park. So this bike we know has been modified?
Yeah. So it's already doing over 30 kilometres an
it?
hour. And it's not being pedalled either. So that was about 35-ish or something.
No pedalling?
But no pedalling at all.
Yeah, wow.
To take off or to finish. And if it's a bike, you've got to pedal it.
Yeah. On the next modified bike, Cameron goes even faster.
All right, he's already at 30.
So we know this bike's been modified.
Yes.
Ooh. Wow. So he's up over 40.
42 or 3 or something, I think it might have been.
Wow.
Within a fairly short distance. It was still actually picking up speed though. So I'd say they generally go about 45 to 50.
Human nature says we will do modifications to get the most out of our product. But if we look at Europe, which is the biggest e-bike market in the world, they've had these anti-tampering clauses since 2017. Peter Burke is a passionate advocate of electric bikes on our roads, if they're legal and safe. As General Manager of Bicycle Industries Australia, he's been leading the push for national regulations around all e-bikes. How are e-bikes classified? They must be a maximum power of 250 watts, continuous rated, maximum assisted speed of 25 kilometres an hour, but anything above that, that's a motorbike. It's unroadworthy, unregistered, unlicensed rider, it is a motorbike. Are they suitable for kids and teenagers? What we find is really challenging is these teenagers are often buying the products that are easily modified. And so their parents may think that they're buying a road legal product and then suddenly it is a bike that can go 50 kilometres an hour or in certain situations I'm aware that they've gone 90 kilometres an hour. So you've got photos of Mohammed everywhere in this house?
Yeah.
Is that nice to just
Even
have
in
his
the garage.
presence?
We like to have memories of him. Yeah. That's all we're left with.
Yeah. 14-year-old Mohammed Yunus was a keen and experienced bike rider. He often spent weekends biking on his best friend's farm. For months, he'd been begging his parents, Bill and Joanne, to upgrade his push bike to what they thought was an e-bike, but was actually an e-motorbike.
It was the happiest present he's ever received. You know, you want to make your kids happy and you want to try to keep them safe, but at the same time, protect them from danger.
The Yunuses bought Mohammed's bike online and say they had no idea that they could buy a bike
that wasn't roadworthy. It couldn't be registered or insured in Australia.
That's where the confusion comes for parents. Like, we're allowed to import these bikes to Australia, and then they say it's got to be registered, but, you know, finding you can't register them anyway, maybe they should just be banned.
You can understand Bill's frustration. In July this year, just 1 week after Mohammed unboxed his new e-bike, the teenager went riding at the local park, and Joanne received the call all parents dread.
I get to the park and they've blocked off everything and whatnot, and I could see him lying there dead on the floor. I picture that every single day.
As far as you're aware, what happened, what went wrong?
They don't know exactly what he hit, so the police actually don't know whether the bike fell on him.
And he was wearing a helmet?
Definitely.
Hands on the handlebars?
Yes.
Definitely. He was doing everything right. Because the police, I did ask them, and they reviewed some footage and said to me he was doing everything right.
The police report confirms that Mohammed was riding safely that day, but even so, the e-motorbike was simply too heavy and powerful for the teenager.
He was the light of our household, to be honest. But now with Mohammed not being there, we really do know the meaning of
emptiness. That's how to describe it, emptiness. It hits home. It hits home hard.
Coming up on the front line of this new crisis.
So I've stopped your son on an illegal motorbike.
It's an all too common sight in many Australian cities and suburbs. Kids and teenagers hooning around on e-bikes. People riding dangerously, without helmets, or while using smartphones. If you've witnessed scenes like these, you've probably wondered how it's legal. The answer is it's not. E-bikes are classified as bicycles. There's very little regulation, and what laws there are vary from state to state. Today, we're with New South Wales police officers in Newcastle as they crack down on illegal e-bikes. And it seems almost everyone they pull over is breaking the law.
I stopped you because as soon as you were coming up here, you weren't pedalling, you were accelerating, yeah?
Perhaps most alarming is the number of young people riding powerful vehicles they're not trained to operate.
So you've got a bike that goes 52 k's an hour. How old are you?
15.
15, so you haven't got a motorbike licence, you haven't got any insurance.
What's the common issue?
Common issue is they all feature a bar-mounted twist throttle, which is up here. So if I lift the rear wheel, I twist the throttle.
Okay.
The rear wheel spins independently. It's being propelled by the motor. It's exclusively propelled by the motor to speeds above 6 kilometres an hour, which therefore makes this a motorbike.
We don't want to be issuing lots and lots of tickets. We want to be preventing the behaviour in the first place. And they don't understand the risk that goes with their behaviour.
New South Wales Traffic and Highway Patrol Commander, Assistant Commissioner Dave Driver, is at his wits' end about how to stem the rising number of accidents.
We don't want to be knocking on someone's door, particularly at Christmas time, and giving them a message that their child isn't coming home.
These teens were lucky to get off with a warning to their parents.
So I've stopped your son on essentially an illegal motorbike. There's up to $3,500 worth of fines for these things, and the bikes can be seized, just so you're aware, because they're an unregistered vehicle that is incapable of being registered.
But an increasing number of children and adults are ending up injured. St Vincent's Hospital is home to one of Sydney's busiest emergency departments, and it's been steadily getting busier thanks to the popularity of e-bikes.
Especially at night time when they're drunk, they're not wearing helmets, going downhill, or they figure I can't drive, so I'll get an e-bike to go home, and it ends up bad.
Not a good
There's a lot
combination.
of broken ribs, broken
Faces.
Wrists, ankles.
Head of Trauma, Dr. Anthony Grabs, treats the most difficult cases.
This X-ray really shows that the whole part of the foot here is off the main bones.
Dr. Grabs and his team were so alarmed by the spike in e-bike injuries coming through emergency that they started tracking the numbers. And it paints a scary picture.
I think that we've identified a significant increase. It's doubling every year at the present time, and if it continues to double without any intervention, we will have a crisis on our hands.
How many cases, roughly, would you have seen this year?
This year, I think we've seen probably about 150 people coming through in the first 6 months.
And how many of those would be serious trauma cases?
About 10% of people end up in ICU. And so that's quite a number. And that puts a resource strain on our intensive care.
Can you put your finger on what is causing so many accidents?
About 60% of people are not wearing helmets when they're on these e-bikes. Alcohol and illicit drugs can be associated with 50% of people. The typical person might get on a bike after going to the pub and then they've never ridden an e-bike before, intoxicated, and they don't understand the acceleration.
Mitchell Whelan is one of Dr. Grab's patients. Mitchell suffered a severe brain injury when he came off a Lime bike as he rode to the pub in Sydney back in June.
I was riding and I clipped the back of a truck. I hit the ground pretty hard. The truck driver heard and felt it and he stopped and assisted and was quite upset, and it helped the police.
How bad were your injuries?
Bad. I remember my last visit at St Vincent's with one of the brain surgeons. He was very surprised I was there talking to him and alive. So I broke my skull open with my brain coming out. I've got now a lot of metal plates holding this eye in place because this eye was badly damaged. I broke my ribs. I broke my hand and my wrist. I cut my liver open.
Despite spending nearly 2 weeks in a coma and several months in hospital, Mitchell has an incredibly positive attitude and is fully focused on his recovery. But he's the first to admit he made some bad decisions that day.
We'd had a couple of drinks at lunchtime, but I was told that they did a blood alcohol test and I was under the legal limit.
Were you wearing a helmet?
No. Oh, well, I mean, I've been told I was not wearing a helmet.
What do you want people to know about these e-bikes?
My opinion, now that I've had the accident and I've had some time to think about it, is they're not just a bike, it's a motorbike. There is a motor on that bike. To me, it becomes a motorbike. So I think there needs to be more regulation on them.
The Federal Transport Minister is responsible for creating and updating road rules.
Good morning, Minister. How are you?
I'm really well. Thank you so much for having me.
Catherine King acknowledges that Australia's road regulatory system is set up for cars, not e-bikes, and that something needs to change.
Will you consider classing e-bikes as road vehicles?
Yeah, well, that's certainly part of the discussion that transport ministers will have, but it's not just about classing them. It's then the system that goes with it that is important. And that actually then means that you have to have an Australian design rule, you have to have registration and licensing and then enforcement. So we're still working our way through that, but that's the sorts of things that we're starting to talk about.
These bikes have been on our roads and footpaths for years. The injuries, the deaths have been increasing. Why has it taken so long?
Well, I think it is hard to police it.
But why has it taken
here.
so long for the federal government to step in?
It's not taken so long for the federal government to step in. Really what's happened is that this is around the responsibilities of Commonwealth, state and users together, and we've all agreed that this is a challenge. Could we have acted sooner? I think everybody would say we would like to fix this tomorrow, but we're working on it.
The Minister will meet with state transport ministers next week to discuss updating the regulations. But any changes could take months, and in the meantime, lives are at stake.
A lot of these deaths and injuries are preventable. With policy, with legislation?
Absolutely. They are preventable with policy, with legislation, but also behaviour as well. So we've all of us got to work together to try and resolve this.
The buck stops with you.
Well, it stops with everybody. And what I'd say is it stops with everybody.
But you're the Federal Transport Minister.
Yeah, but I'm also one Transport Minister in a jurisdiction of 8 states and territories.
But it's your job to step in and say, together. We've got to make a change at a national
And we
level.
have, and that's why we've put it on to the agenda of the infrastructure transport ministers, and that is my job, to bring transport ministers together, and that's what I'm doing.
And this is the bike.
Yeah. That would have been a few days before he passed away because he only had the bike for a week.
For Bill and Joanne Eunice, nothing can ease the pain of losing their eldest son. Mohammed, who would have turned 15 last week, died riding an e-motorbike that didn't meet Australian road safety standards.
Any parent out there, if you're thinking of getting your son or daughter an e-bike, just think twice about it. Our son was a strong rider. He was experienced. He wasn't doing nothing silly, and tragedies happen.
I guess it gives you a place to go and visit and, you know, and just basically, think.
Like the Eunices, Jason Gagg doesn't want any other parent to suffer the grief of losing a child. He's advocating for tough new laws in memory of his 17-year-old son Hudson, who died in an e-bike accident 2 months ago.
What would you like to see changed?
At the minimum, special licensing, because they are sharing the road with motor vehicles. A lot of these kids aren't familiar with road rules. They don't have licences of any type, so we want the laws to be changed. We'd love Hudson's name to be put to that. There's no time like the present. If we can get these things regulated and get the illegal ones off the market, do the right thing by the Australian public and change. Get the changes done. Regulate it.
Hello, I'm Amelia Adams. Thanks for watching 60 Minutes Australia. Subscribe to our channel now for brand new stories and exclusive clips every week. And don't miss out on our extra minute segments and full episodes of 60 Minutes on 9now.com.au and the 9Now app.